we are 2-8, looking fantastic. I mean, best team in the league. We're really close.
We're as close as they get.
Really close. So since we were talking a little bit about it before we went live, Anthony, we'll start with you. What did you take away from Joe Schoen's press conference?
I didn't take away a whole lot other than, like Chris said before we went live, he's a good politician. He knows how to say certain things to appease certain people, but he's not very truthful in his assessment of the team is the way that I feel about it. I thought that he deflected a lot of the questions. He tap danced around them. And I've been saying this, I've said it several times on this show. I've been saying it for weeks, months, maybe even years now on Fireside Giants. I'm tired of the company lines that this team just keeps handing to the media and force feeding to the fans. I wish that they would give a window of insight into the organization so that we can know that they are trying to get on the right track. But him sitting there and preaching, we're not far off. We lost some close games this year at 2-8, bottom of not the division, bottom of the NFL. Just rubs me the wrong way. It pisses me off. Like, they do nothing to indicate that they are trying to right this ship in these media sessions. And in fact, they try and sell lies to the fans. And I've just about had it. And I hope that the rest of Giants fans have had it as well.
Chris, what was your take from Mr.
Yeah, well said, Anthony. Listen, I'm not going to kill Joe Schoen for being a politician because that's like half of his job. And I get it. And we're fed up as fans. I am listening to it because I know half of the things he says are bullshit. But in a way, I get that that's kind of what he has to say. He's not going to throw his players under the bus. He's not going to throw his coach under the bus. So I get it. But to go out there, and as we were talking before the show, to go out there as a general manager and try to sell the fan base on that you're close. This team hasn't been close since they won their last Super Bowl. I mean, you could argue a year here, a year there, where they had the unexpected year in, 2015, where we made the playoffs, 2022. But even that was with smoke and mirrors, as we found out over the last 2 years with Dable and Shane. We're not close. Like, I see a lot of fans on Twitter saying, oh, we've got pieces. We've got the offensive line. First off, the offensive line, I'll believe it when I see it. I need to see them, Joe, over the course of a full year. I liked what I saw in Neal. I'm sure we'll talk about that on the show today. He did a really good job in his first game back, granted against the Carolina Panthers, but I'm going to give him credit where it's due. It's good to see that he grew. It's good to see that the Giants were patient with him this year and brought him into a situation where they thought he could be successful. So that's one big positive to take out of last week. But the offensive line still got a long way to go. The defensive line, well, the pass rush has been really good most weeks. We're among one of the league leaders in sacks. We may even still lead in that category. The run defense is still abysmal. We are the worst red zone offense in the NFL. And 2 years ago, we were top 5 in that category, which is why we made the playoffs in the first place. And I see a lot of people on Twitter saying, well, the Giants are pretty close. All they need to do is replace the quarterback. Well, if that's the definition of being close, if you as a Giants fan feel that a 2-8 football team who currently are tied for the worst record in the NFL are close and all they need to do is replace a quarterback, well, by that definition, Joe Schoen, if that's accurate, which I don't necessarily think it is, but if that's accurate, that would make every team in the NFL close, okay? Because the Giants right now are the worst team in the NFL. So if you're convincing yourself as a fan that we're just a quarterback away, we're close. You could say that about every team in the NFL. So I took what he said as bullshit, but it's necessary bullshit. I get it that he's a politician. We're not close. And it's sad to say that as a Giants fan going into what will be year 4 of Joe Schoen and Brian Dable. We're not close.
Let me play devil's advocate for a minute. If we had, I talked about this last night in the NFC East roundtable with the guys. If we had Jalen Hurts, and I don't think Jalen Hurts is great by any stretch of imagination. I think he benefits from having great talent around him. How many more games do we win if we have Jalen Hurts? How many of these? Now, we have been close in some games, and we have been really crappy in the red zone. I get Joe Schoen's a bullshitter. We saw it on Hard Knocks when they asked him about Barkley. He's like, well, I want to say blah, 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 but I'm going to say blah, 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 blah. So we know that's his job. He can't come out and go, we suck. That's our job. We blow hard, all right? We are ass with a capital S. But if we did have a competent quarterback, because Daniel Jones is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
One of the bottom 5. There's no doubt.
If we had an average quarterback, how many more games do you think we would have won? I mean, I don't think we're 2-8 if we have an average.
Yeah, I think 4 or 5 wins if we had an average quarterback. Okay. I think that's fair.
Same.
So we'd be 5-5.
Maybe, probably at best 5-5. Yeah.
So I mean, I get to an listen, I'm as frustrated as anybody else.
Yeah.
But truth be told, if we had a playmaker quarterback, we might actually be closer than our record appears, if that makes sense. I mean, even last year, we saw Tommy DeVito come in here and win 3 games. We saw Tyrod Taylor smash the Eagles. And we saw Tyrod Taylor be 1 yard away from beating the freaking Buffalo Bills. And we saw the Giants were 1 yard away from beating the Jets. I mean, literally, they could have won, and they could have beat the Rams. I mean, that was a really bad team last year that somehow could have won 9 games. So, well, I know Joe Schoen likes to feed us a lot of bull. I know he does, and pretty much every GM is going to do that. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not even hating him for it.
I understand, but I'm saying, I guess I know a lot of people that did rub the wrong way because our record sucks, and we've sucked for years. This is nothing new. This isn't just an aberration. We're having a down year. We have been a bad team for much longer than Joe Schoen's been here. But I'm wondering, again, we're not close to a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but I think if we had a quarterback that is at least average, I do think at this point we're probably 5-5. I do think we beat Cincinnati. I do think we beat Washington in the first game. I do think we beat Dallas.